Welcome to the Blue Duck Fantasy Football Podcast.
And welcome to the Week 3 preview show. Matt, are you ready?
Yep, I'm set to go.
All right, let's kick it off with some news. Matt, go ahead.
Not a whole lot today. David Njoku, who suffered a concussion on Monday Night Football, has also now been reported to have a broken wrist and is expected to miss at least 1 month. Trevor Davis of the Green Bay Packers was traded to the Oakland Raiders.
Exciting.
Very exciting news.
For what?
A 6th round pick next year. Not really fantasy relevant there. That's all we got for news today.
Yeah, not fantasy relevant. In a deeper league, maybe keep an eye on it just because the Raiders are thin at wide receiver. They did get Keelan. Is it Keelan Doss? They got him back from the Jacksonville Jaguars, who had him on their practice squad where he chose to sign there. And I think that they give up something or give him more money. So they don't have much at wide receiver. So let's get right into the recap of the Sunday night and Monday Night Football. Matt, why don't you give us your take on the Eagles and Falcons game real quick before we get into the Week 3 preview?
Eagles were decimated by injuries during this game. Deshaun Jackson and Alshon Jeffrey both left pretty early. Kind of limited Carson Wentz's ability to have a good day. Running back situation is still a mess. Looks like Miles Sanders is kind of getting the lead there, but still not really anything reliable. Falcons, Julio was Julio. Devonta Freeman's a little worrisome right now. He's just not getting a lot of yards per carry. Ito Smith wasn't that great either.
Ito Smith is outplaying him, though.
Yeah, he had one carry for about 28 yards. The rest of his carries, I think he averaged 1.3.
I think there's an issue with that offensive line. It's the reason they couldn't run last year either.
Yeah, so, I mean, you got to keep running Freeman out probably if you have him. But
and Ito Smith is one of the guys to target after the waivers have run on this morning's most added players. So Ito Smith playing fairly well compared to Devonta Freeman. So somebody to add.
No, that's it for the Sunday Nighter.
Let's go to the Monday Nighter then. What'd you think of Baker and the Browns?
A little bit better. OBJ looked really good. He had a nice catch there for the one-handed catch, and then he had a nice 89-yard catch. Jarvis Landry didn't do a whole lot. Should be getting a little bit better with his Njoku injury, though I had expected a little bit more targets to go his way. New York Jets. You can start Bell, but that's it right now.
Crowder in a PPR league as a flex, maybe?
Maybe, but that quarterback situation is really bad right now. Not until Darnold is back. Then he'll be fine again.
Yeah, to me, that's what I have written down even for the preview, is that Crowder is a possible PPR play, and Bell's the only guy you want to start there. I'm actually worried a little bit about Baker. Seemed to be running for his life a lot. Issue with that offensive line, or maybe he's too short, can't see over, and has to get out of the pocket to throw. But he didn't look great. Beckham looked great. Beckham's watch looked even better. Landry, not so much. Njoku, as you mentioned in the news, out for a while with a broken wrist. Wouldn't panic on Jarvis Landry yet, but I am a little bit worried about Baker. But anyways, let's move on to the preview for Week 3, and we're going to start with the Thursday Nighter. The Tennessee Titans at the Jacksonville Jaguars. For the Titans, I got start Henry and Walker if he's your tight end, and if you have a better one, by all means start him. I think he's in our top 10 this week, but if you have a better tight end, start him. Matt, your thoughts on the Titans for the Thursday night?
Yeah, Derrick Henry would be an obvious start. He had that, not that it's going to really matter, but he had that memorable 99-yard run against the Jags last year. I think.
Question for you. This Jaguars defense is a proud bunch, possibly playing the last game with Jalen Ramsey. Do you think that they're going to come fired up to stop Derrick Henry?
Well, I guess sort of, because the passing offense doesn't scare anybody, so everybody that plays Tennessee should be going all out to stop the run game.
Okay. Jaguars?
Fournette, you can start. Running backs are usually decent on Thursday nights. DJ Shark maybe in a 3 wide receiver flex. That's about it.
Yeah, I wouldn't start DJ this week, but I definitely agree on the running back on a short week. And the only other thing to note in this game is to check out Gardner's outfit on game day.
Yeah.
Who's your pick to win this one?
I'm going to go with Tennessee.
I will go with the same. Let's move on. Falcons at Colts. Falcons playing inside the dome here on the road, so it's a full goal for everyone here. Ito Smith continues to get better of Freeman, as we mentioned earlier. So I have him ranked similar this week. Matt, what are your thoughts on the Falcons?
I mean, we don't really have to mention Julio's an obvious start. Matt Ryan's obvious start.
Calvin Ridley, obvious start.
Yeah. Even Hooper, I think I've got him as an obvious start for me.
Yeah, if he's your tight end, go for it.
Yeah. I probably wouldn't go as far to start Ito Smith this week. That doesn't come into play for me yet.
The thing I was going to say about Ito Smith, you don't want to start him, but would you start Devonta Freeman? Because I have him pretty close in the rankings. Freeman's been playing awful. Ito Smith is outplaying him. So if Smith is a sit for you, what's Freeman?
Freeman's still a start. Even in your running back position, you had so much draft capital invested there, you've got to give him more than 2 weeks to keep going.
Boys and girls, this is an obvious case of somebody still valuing someone based on the draft capital they spent on him instead of how well they're playing. This is a mistake. If you have Devonta Freeman and you have other running back options, sit Devonta Freeman this week.
You're not likely to have a better option right now.
I mean, you could.
Probably
Well,
not.
Frank Gore.
No.
With Devin Singletary out? I don't know. Going to be a close one. All right, give us your thoughts on the Colts.
T.Y. Hilton, Marlon Mack, starters. That's about it. I'm not starting Jacoby Brissett or Eric Ebron in this matchup here. The Colts offense just doesn't excite me that much now that Andrew Luck's gone.
I definitely agree with that. Going to ask you, since we had a lot of quarterback injuries this week, if you had Breeze or if you had Ben and you had only drafted one quarterback as you recommended, and you have a waiver wire choice for the rest of the season of Matthew Stafford, Mitchell Trubisky, Andy Dalton, Derek Carr, and Jacoby Brissett, who would you want? And why don't you rank them 1 to 5 for us?
Out of that group, right now, I would go Trubisky. He's had 2 bad weeks, and I know that kind of sounds weird, but I think that's the most upside there. Number 2 out of that group, I'm going to go Stafford. He's just reliable. Next, Derek Carr, and that's close with Andy Dalton. Brissett's actually bottom of these guys for the rest of the season. Dalton's been having some really good games. It's kind of hard to ignore, even if the last one was aided by garbage time. That would be my ranking of those 5.
I'll go Stafford 1, Dalton 2, Trubisky 3, Carr 4, Jacoby 5.
So nobody likes Jacoby.
No, nobody likes Jacoby. They gave him $15 million, though.
Yeah.
Just looking at my rankings here on BlueDuckFantasy.com when we're talking about Freeman and Gore. I have Devonta Freeman at 25, and I have Gore at 26. Ito Smith close behind at 29. So I'm not opposed to any of these guys being in your flex. It is a good matchup against the Colts D. But Freeman has been poor, and if you do have a better option, like, say, Matt Breida, at least on my rankings, I would start him over Devonta Freeman. Anyways, that's enough of that game. Matt, who's your pick?
Atlanta.
That's 2 for 2. Moving on, Ravens at the Chiefs. It's going to be the game of the week. I got start Marquise Brown, start Mark Andrews if he's healthy, did not practice today, start Lamar, obviously, and start Ingram if healthy. If you have Ingram on your team and you do have a bench spot, pick up Gus Edwards, as Ingram was hurt last week and then came back into the game. He's not a young lad anymore, and the injuries could end up piling up. Matt, your thoughts on the Ravens this week?
I believe Gus actually snapped Justice Hill last week, if I read that correctly somewhere. There is a lot of Ravens. Like, this is almost a start everyone game. I mean, I shouldn't say that with the wide receivers on Baltimore. They're not very good. But Marquise Hollywood Brown.
What about
yes.
Willie Snead?
Yeah, probably not Willie Snead. Even though this is a great match. They're going to be throwing. It's going to be a high-scoring game. It's kind of like a high start everyone game here, especially on the Kansas City side. Their running back situation is a little murky just because McCoy and Williams got hurt or banged up last week, and neither of them practiced today.
Just looking at our Willie Snead ranking here. I got him at 45. You were way lower, as was Mr. Black, down at 67-70. Chiefs is basically a start everyone, and kind of look into that running back situation to see who is going to be healthy. Yeah, that's about all there is to it. You're not going to sit in these guys. If you went out and picked up DeMarcus Robinson, who's somehow more owned than Mecole Hardman. Can you believe that?
No, that's strange. It's recency bias.
But at the same time, Hardman had a 72-yard touchdown call back that would have given him a 2-touchdown, 140-yard performance with more targets.
Doesn't show up on the box score and people don't see it.
It doesn't, but it does show up in our article that's out this morning, Wednesday's most added.
Yeah, are we starting both of those guys? I think so, eh? In flex, maybe.
In a flex, depending on your situation. But yeah, they're both in the startable columns for me. And like Matt said, check out the running back situation. You don't want to be starting a guy that's not going to be playing, and that situation is going to develop over the week. So we can't really advise you on that. Your pick for the winner of this game?
Hard to go against the Chiefs at home. I'm going to pick the Chiefs.
Yeah, that's 3 for 3. Let's move on to the Bengals versus the Bills. Matt, your thought on the Cincinnati Bengals and Andy Dalton?
Probably going to be a little bit of a down game for Andy Dalton. Buffalo's defense is pretty decent. I expect them to just try to hammer the ball with Joe Mixon. Unless that ankle's still really bad, I just can't see them going away. He's definitely their best player on offense when healthy. I mean, yeah, John Ross has been doing really good, and Tyler Boyd's he's a fine wide receiver, but Joe Mixon is a top back if he's healthy. They've got to start force-feeding him, in my opinion.
You are quite high on Joe Mixon this week. I don't know if you checked the rankings here on BlueDuckFantasy.com, but you have him at 8 in standard, while myself and Mr. Black have him at 24. It's the second week in a row you're a big Mixon believer. I don't think he's healthy. I don't think that line is very good. They haven't been able to run in either of their games. And as you mentioned, Buffalo is a tough D. So it's tough to sit him because of the price you paid for him. But if you have better options, to go for it. You most likely don't, though. I'd start both wide receivers in this game. Not the tight end, though. Don't buy that Tyler Eifert touchdown. He had like 6 catches for like 9 yards or something silly,
yeah.
and the touchdown. As for Buffalo, I really like whoever the running back is going to be here. San Francisco ran all over the Bengals last week, which is why I'm so high on Frank Gore, because Devin Singletary isn't practicing. Left last week's game with a non-contact injury. That's going to be usually more than a week to sit. Could be just a hamstring that, tightened up on him and he might be okay. But I like Gore. I added him in our league this week as a 1-week start, dropping a guy named Kalen Ballage for him. And, of course, my boy John Brown is going to be a start.
Okay, yeah. I have Gore a lot higher than I have him most weeks. I have him at 33 in standard.
That's flexible.
Yeah, no, it's borderline flex for sure. The very weak matchup of Cincinnati really aided that. Singletary, I don't know. I kind of expect him to play, but it's hard to get. It's something you have to obviously watch. TJ Yeldon will probably get some carries if Singletary isn't available.
I think he'll be the third down back, and Frank Gore get 1 and 2.
Yeah, that's probably about right. Josh Allen's a good start, I think. Well, decent.
He's always kind of a decent start, but he's very risky. He's got a very low floor and kind of a high ceiling. It really depends on what he does.
Do you think he has a low floor? I don't really think so. He runs a lot.
Yeah, I think he's a risky. He can put up a 9 easily. Bad game where he's just inaccurate and runs for 60 yards and has a couple picks.
Yeah.
I haven't been a Josh Allen truther at all, so not for me. Who's your pick in this one?
I will go with the Bills at home.
And I will take the Bengals on the road.
Hey, there we go.
Okay, let's move on. The Broncos at the Packers. Don't need to ask who you're going to pick in this one. But why don't you start off with the Denver Broncos?
I don't really like a lot of starting here. The Packers D has been really good both weeks they've been out. Dalvin Cook had a big long run that kind of helped his stats. And Dalvin Cook is a lot better than either Phillip Lindsay or Royce Freeman. I don't expect a lot of impact players from Denver. I mean, you can maybe start Sutton. That's kind of what I said last week, and Emmanuel Sanders was the play there. But I think Green Bay's defense is going to shut down the Broncos here.
Yeah, I'm going to agree with that. I don't like the wide receivers. I think the Packers secondary, their pass defense has been really solid through 2 weeks. As you mentioned, Cook was able to run on them, so I don't mind Lindsey Freeman, but they're in the flex range. I actually have Freeman ahead of him 33 to 35 in standard. I'm assuming I have Lindsay higher in PPR. Matt, you are way down on Freeman at 37 versus Lindsay at 25. And Mr. Black's 26-28 with Lindsay leading. Not guys I'm looking to start, but if it's while you have, by all means, go for it. As for the Packers, you're not going to sit Devontae Adams, but it is a tough matchup against Chris Harris and the Broncos secondary, which is pretty good, although Terrell Williams did really well against him in week 1. This would be an okay week to start either MVS or Allison in DFS, but you got to pick which one. You really have no idea which one's going to be good. So maybe you'd make 2 lineups, one with MVS and one with Allison.
Yeah, I really like Adams here. I'm not really concerned about that. I think he did better against the better secondary last week. And, again, you're never going to bench him.
No.
The thing of note that came out today was Matt LaFleur's comments about trying to even up the carries between Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. I don't really buy that a whole lot. There's just such a huge gap in talent there. This is Mike McCarthy's big downfall last year. He tried to run Jamal Williams way too much. It really didn't help the offense there. So I really hope that's not the case. What do you think of Jimmy Graham?
What's that?
What do you think of Jimmy Graham?
I mean, if he's somehow your starting tight end and you have to start him, I guess you go play him, but not somebody who's on any of my teams as a starter. You?
No, I'm not playing Jimmy Graham.
Okay. You mentioned the coach saying that about Aaron Jones and Jamal Williams. This is the same coach who was in Tennessee last year who was giving a 50 split to Dion Lewis and Derrick Henry till Derrick Henry kind of blew up, and then it started going more that way. So who knows what will happen there. It is worrisome long term, but you're not going to sit Aaron Jones until you see this happen. Your pick here, do I have to ask Packers for both of us?
Packers, yep, for sure.
All right, moving on to the Lions at Philadelphia. This is actually a decent matchup for the Lions, so I'd say start the usuals, which is Kenny Golladay and Kerryon Johnson. Not much else to say about the Lions. Matt, you want to add anything?
You can start Hawk, yeah. But be aware there's a potential bust there too. Eagles, man, you got to see who's playing wide receiver there before you decide what you're starting. But you're starting Wentz and Ertz regardless, and I think I'm going to avoid the running backs. I mean, maybe Sanders in a flex in a standard, but that's about it for me.
Yeah, I'm actually quite low on Wentz now with all these injuries to the wide receivers. He wasn't great on Sunday night. I actually have him ranked 16 this week, so he's not a start for me. I do think that Ertz gets a bump here. You take in the crying after Sunday night and the fact that he played every snap and felt like he let his team down. That's a guy who's hungry to help his team, wants to be out there, wants to win. I think Ertz is the main guy that is going to benefit from the injuries to Alshon, who's probably out, and Jackson, who's most likely out. They're saying it's going to be, the groin's going to be like week 4 at the earliest. Nelson Aguilar in a PPR if you want to flex him. If Alshon's out, I'm okay with that. Otherwise, I'm not looking for any of these wide receivers. And I might be moving Ertz up to the number 1 spot this week just because of the volume play. And running backs, I'll pass on all of them. Your pick for this game?
Going with the home team again, Philly.
I'm going to go with the Lions. Really should be keeping track of who we're picking, but let's move on.
I think it's just been the Bengals, Bills, and this game that we've been opposite.
Well, I know who you're picking in this one. Big old Dolphins fan over there. Miami versus the Cowboys. My pick for who you should start on the Dolphins? No one.
Not even the Miami defense.
No, especially not the Miami defense.
Wow, okay. That's interesting. I thought for sure that was your start of the week. I thought you said that earlier today.
I have written down maybe Preston Williams will do something in garbage time. And that's more of a DFS play than an actual yearly fantasy play. And that's really throwing a dart out there.
Yeah. Okay, so for the Cowboys, that's all. I mean, we don't really need to talk about these guys. You're starting Zeke, Dak, Amari Cooper. I've picked up Jason Witten in a couple leagues actually.
I was going to ask about him. I think he's a decent start this week.
Yeah.
Good spot start.
Yeah, it's the leagues that I've had Hunter Henry as my starter. That's who I'm flexing, or the word I'm thinking of, streaming this week, is Jason Witten as my tight end.
What about Randall Cobb?
That's I don't think I'm not going to go there.
Devin Smith?
Whom?
Forgotten wide receiver for the Cowboys.
I forgot about him. Yeah. No, I'm not going Devin Smith either. I mean, one of them will probably have at least a touchdown because the Cowboys will put up points, but try to pick which one.
Yeah, I'd be avoiding both of them again unless you're playing DFS and you want to kind of shoot for the moon and hope one of these guys goes off for cheap. Matt, you're picking this one, Cowboys?
Yes.
All right, another obvious game, the Jets at the Patriots. We're starting Le'Veon Bell regardless. To me, Jamison Crowder is a borderline PPR start. Matt, anything to add on the Jets before we move on to the Patriots?
No, that sounds about right to me.
All right.
Even
anything for
Crowder's
the Patriots?
Patriots, Brown, Edelman, White, Michelle, Brady are my starters. I'm not starting Josh Gordon.
Not starting Josh Gordon. Interesting. I got marked down here, everyone but Burkhead. So I'd be okay starting Josh Gordon, not even knowing where I have him ranked on
39.
this list. Pardon me?
39 in PPR.
39. So in a 3 wide receiver league, I'm starting him.
Oh.
But outside of that, not. Patriots, we're both going to pick them. Let's move on. Let's not waste any more time. Raiders, Vikings. Tyrell with the hip pointer, as we mentioned earlier. Keep an eye on it. It's not the best matchup, but you'll probably see a lot of Xavier Rhodes. Jacobs definitely 100% start if he's healthy. And Waller, if he's your tight end, is actually in the top 10 rankings this week for us. Matt?
Yeah. Not a whole lot to add that. I'm good with those 3 guys that you mentioned, barring injuries there, and if they're all proved to be healthy going in. Might be the Vikings passing game that the week that they break out, maybe. If Cousins got to start playing better, he's not going to have a better opportunity than at home against the weak pass defense like the Raiders. They got lit up by the Chiefs. I get it. It's not Pat Mahomes and company, but if you're going to do it, if you're not going to do it now, then when?
Broncos wide receivers played pretty well against him too. Sanders had a decent game. Sutton had a nice game. I'm going to give you a sneak preview here, but Kirk Cousins, Adam Thielen, Stephon Diggs are my DFS stack for this week in tournament play. So, yeah, I'm a buyer on that. Please do not copy me as you usually do. Yeah, that's all about to say. Obviously, Dalvin Cook is a start.
Yeah.
And if Rudolph, if he's your tight end, your starting tight end, by all means, start him. And if you have a better tight end, by all means, start him. Just check out our rankings on blueduckfantasy.com for the full list there. Matt, you're picking this game, Raiders or Vikings?
Minnesota.
That's 2 for Minnesota. Let's move on to the Carolina Panthers versus the Cardinals.
Got to watch the quarterback situation with Carolina. It does not look like Cam Newton will be playing, and the backup quarterback is now slipping my mind right now. What's his name?
Will Grier is not the backup quarterback.
The
they said it was some undrafted guy that they're going to be going with. So that shows everybody who's high on Will Grier, the rookie coming in. You were wrong, and I was right. But either way, if Cam Newton's not starting, I don't think you're going to start any of the wide receivers, are you?
Christian McCaffrey. Oh, he plays running back. That's right.
Yeah. Also, Greg Olsen is a start for me for sure.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Against the Arizona Cardinals, who they played against?
Well, Hawk let them up in week 1.
Hawk let them up week 1 and Mark Andrews in week 2.
Yeah.
So Olsen's a start regardless of quarterback. And moving on to the Arizona Cardinals, I don't like Murray this week. David Johnson always, and both Fitz and Kirk are both around the top 35, so they're all 3 wide receiver starts or flex plays.
That's pretty much echoes my opinion on them.
Who are you picking to win?
Arizona, especially without Cam.
I'm going to go with Arizona as well. The Giants at the Buccaneers. Matt, Giants?
Daniel Jones makes his career debut for the Giants. Not a good start. 2 quarterback league, super flex league. Sterling Shepard, I don't mind him in this game if he plays.
Doubtful.
I think he'll probably clear by then. It'll be tough. Something monitor it. And Saquon is an obvious start there. Evan Engram, you have to start him if you have him.
Speaking of Evan Engram, we had a conversation on Sunday about how you let me down. You're not going to do that again, right? You're going to deliver this week, or else. All right, and Tampa Bay, good matchup for them against this terrible defense. Winston, Evans, Godwins is another nice stack. Or maybe you want to go O.J. Howard and really get risky. Barber should get the work in this blowout, or will it be Jones this week? Who knows? As I mentioned earlier in week 1, this is going to be a frustrating backfield all season, and that's why I have no shares of it.
Yeah, Evans and Godwin are both very solid plays. That makes Winston a solid play. Howard should be a solid play, but I don't know. Right now, I don't know what that offense. And Arians is kind of known to not like tight ends. So, and Cameron Brate seems to be his tight end that he likes to pass to if he does. Either one of the running backs there is not a great
Risky.
play. If you're going to start one, you have to kind of start with Barber just based off of what we saw last week.
Right, but then before week 2, you said if you have to start one, you have to go Ronald Jones.
Mm-hmm.
So, as I mentioned, in week 1, if you're watching the podcast or listening to it, they're going to go with the hot hand, and it's going to be frustrating because your guy might start, look good, and then the other guy might come and take over. Jones played better in week 1. You think he'd get it in week 2. He didn't. Barber played well in week 2. You think he'll get it in week 3. You're picking this game, Matt, Giants or Bucks?
I want to go Giants, but I'm going to go Bucks.
Jeez. Yeah, that's $2. Moving on to the Texans at the Chargers. Did you know the Chargers are favored in this game by 3.5?
Really?
Yes.
Oh, I thought this was I was going to pick the Chargers as an upset here.
I've got the Texans marked down as an upset here.
Wow.
But yeah, they were favored looking at today on my point spread poll.
Wonder what that's based
2.5 or 3.5. Anyways, Houston Texans. I actually love Will Fuller in this one, and I'm really high on the running backs because of what Mac did to the Chargers in week 1. So they're both in the top 30 for me. And I think I have one or the other in DFS, but that's coming out later. Matt, Texans?
Yeah, Watson and Hopkins are easy starts. We don't need to talk about them. I'll start Carlos Hyde, especially in this one in standard. And Duke Johnson, he's kind of more of a, I'll start even Hyde as a high flex. Is that even a thing? I don't even know.
It is now. That's your thing from now on.
Okay.
You've mentioned guys as high flex.
Okay. And Duke is more of a lower flex in a standard, and they're reversed in PPR, but they're both flexible placed to me. You said Will Fuller. Yeah, I can see it. Kenny Stills will have kind of
we can hear your Kenny Stills bias in your voice whenever you talk about Will Fuller. Why don't you give us the lowdown on the Chargers? Is Mike Williams healthy?
He played last week, so I mean he's going to probably play this week. You'd have to imagine.
Would you start him?
I would start him. I'd start him as a wide receiver 2. Not even in the flex. He's in the actual wide receiver. He's not even a high flex. He's
top 25.
Yep.
He's better than a high flex.
He is better than a high flex, and decent matchup for Rivers there. And Eckler's going to be he's definitely a start now. You can't bench that.
Rivers is a borderline starter for me this week. I don't really know what to make of this Houston defense. They were poor against the Saints in week 1. They were great against the Jaguars. That's a good offense. That's a bad offense. Any chance you're starting Lance Kendricks in this one?
No, there's no chance I'm starting Lance Kendricks.
All right. Then I'm on board with the rest of them. Mike Williams, if healthy. Eckler is can't sit now. Keenan Allen as well. I got the Texans in this one. You going with the Chargers?
I'm going with the Chargers in what I thought was an upset.
Nope. This is my upset pick. You'll have to come up with a new one.
Okay.
Saints at Seahawks. Let's talk about Kamara and Michael Thomas. You got to start them both, but they are both downgraded from what they used to be. And I'm wondering right now, Matt, if you were to trade Michael Thomas to another team for another wide receiver, who are some wide receivers that you would take? I'll name some, and you let me know if you'd go for it.
Okay.
Kenny Golladay.
No. Are you talking, standard or PPR?
Let's go standard because I still like him a lot in PPR.
Okay.
So this is all going to be standard. Kenny Golladay, no?
No.
Keenan Allen.
No.
Amari Cooper.
No.
That's all I had. I'm surprised you said no to all of them.
I still like Michael Thomas here, especially in PPR.
Especially in PPR, but we were talking standard here. I like him in PPR as well, but in standard,
I think he's still going to be fine.
Golladay is the only one where I'm like, can I really trust Golladay that much? And I probably wouldn't do it, but I'm taking Cooper over him for sure in standard. And Keenan Allen is more of a PPR guy as well, so that's kind of a push for me.
I do have Cooper ahead of him in standard this week, though.
Yeah, that's just this week. We're talking rest of the season here. So rest of the season, you will take Michael Thomas over Amari Cooper.
Kenny Golladay,
and Keenan Allen. I will take Cooper first. I will take either Michael Thomas or Keenan Allen, and I would not take Kenny Golladay. Okay. Anything else to add to the Saints other than start Kamara and Thomas and nobody else?
Yeah, even Latavius isn't startable right now.
Nope. Kamara's yards per carry was way down last game.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a bit the Rams D, but it's also a bit of the fact that they're not afraid of that passing game anymore. Talk about Seattle, Matt.
Chris Carson, I was trying to think of his first name. Chris Carson is going to be a must start again here. He's not. He has had a little bit of fumbling issues, but I think they're going to go back to him for this game. And it's a run-heavy offense. It's a good back. And New Orleans' run defense isn't that great. It's okay, but it's not great. And Seattle will try to pound the rock. DK Metcalf and Tyler Lockett, both flexible plays for me this week.
Yeah, both top 35 guys. I really like Russell Wilson in this one. I have him as a top 10 quarterback. Carson is obviously a go. And I like Penny in DFS this week. You're picking this game. Who's winning, Saints or Seahawks?
If Breeze was playing, I'd probably pick the Saints, but I'm going Seahawks.
Yeah, we're not talking ifs here. Yeah, it's Seahawks. Let's talk about another team decimated by a quarterback injury. That's the Pittsburgh Steelers going to San Francisco to take on the 2-0 49ers. Go ahead on the Steelers, man.
Yeah, big hit for James Conner here. I'm still okay on Juju. I mean, you're obviously not going to bench him. Mason Rudolph is actually somebody I picked up in my 2-quarterback Superflex league.
Okay, I was going to say.
As a third stringer because I needed somebody rest of season, and it was between him and Bridgewater. And rest of season, I'm taking Mason Rudolph because Bridge isn't playing for that terribly long.
Okay.
Vance McDonald, I moved up quite a bit actually this week. I think I have him as tight end number 6 for myself. Rudolph seemed to really like him, and I don't see a reason that's going to change. San Francisco isn't that good. I think they'll be able to move the ball a bit.
Yeah, young quarterbacks tend to like tight ends, so I think Vance McDonald is the only person on this Steelers squad that's going to benefit in fantasy from Mason Rudolph being the quarterback. You're going to start. Is Connor healthy? He's ready to go? He says he's good to go.
Yeah, he says he is. He didn't practice today, but he's supposed to be good to go.
Okay, so he says he's good to go. His value is lowered. No different than the situation with Kamara Thomas. Juju's value is lowered. And somebody else to look at on this team now is James Washington, who you can get off the waiver wire in most leagues or a very small trade. He's somebody that I like now. Reason why? He went to college with Mason Rudolph. They were both drafted last year. They played college ball together. They have rapport. It's somebody he trusts. He knows what James Washington can do, which is basically catch the deep ball or catch a screen and go. So definitely somebody that I like going forward rest of the season.
Yeah, and just pair that with the benching of Dante Moncrief is also going to help with James Washington.
Absolutely. He's he was the player to drop on the waiver targets on Tuesday. 49ers, Matt, who are you starting? Deebo Samuel or DK Metcalf? You got to pick one.
Are you talking in standard or PPR?
Let's just say standard.
Okay. I am just double checking my rankings on Blue Duck.
I know your rankings. I don't want you to look at them. I want you to just answer the question.
It's DK.
It's very close.
It is. It's very close, actually. I like Debo this week, too, but just don't trust him quite enough to put him in over someone.
As for the rest of the team, Braid is a for sure start. Mostert is if you're desperate at running back. If you have any of the injuries that have kind of affected the running backs, Mostert could be a flex. Rumor today that Jeff Wilson is a preferred goal line back. I do not listen to anything this coaching staff says. They said Dante Pettis was the number 1 wide receiver. They said Breda was the number 1 running back, and Coleman was, and then Coleman was out, and now they're saying this. Kyle Shanahan, that's the coach. Shut up. Stop talking. Nobody's listening. Matt, 49ers?
Yeah, the running backs are hard to trust. If I'm going to put in one, I'm starting Breda. And none of the wide receivers, Jimmy Garoppolo's an okay start here. Of course, Kittle. You have to start.
Yeah, of course, Kittle. You're picking this game, Steelers at 49ers?
This is now going to be my upset of the week. I'm going Mason Rudolph and the Steelers.
Okay, I will go with the 49ers because I am not a crazy person. Rams at Browns, the Sunday Night Football. The Rams, usual suspects. all three wide receivers, the quarterback, Todd Gurley, not Malcolm Brown. Keep an eye on the Higbee injury. I had marked down here if Njoku can't go, Everett was kind of be your only start here, but Njoku's already out, so you should be looking somewhere else and not waiting on the Higbee news, so Everett should be avoided.
Yeah, I mean, it's pretty straightforward who you're starting from both teams on the. You're keeping. I'm keeping Landry in with the news Njoku's out. I was considering pulling him back a little bit, but with Njoku's injury there, I like that play again. And Chubb, Mayfield, I'm good with everybody on pretty much both offenses.
Baker's outside the top 12 for me this week, as I mentioned earlier in the program. It's not somebody that I care for right now. Still starting Landry, but maybe Mr. Black has been right all the time with his low ranking on Jarvis Landry. Who's your pick to win this game?
I am going to... Who's the favorite?
I'm assuming the Rams. I don't know.
I assume it's the Rams too, so I'm going to go another upset. I'm taking Browns at home.
All right, I'll go with the Rams. Moving on to the Monday Nighter, which should have a total of about 20 points. That is the Bears at Washington. I'm starting Allen Robinson. I'm starting David Montgomery. And if Trey Burton is my starting tight end and I don't have a better one, then I'm starting him as well.
Yeah, that's about it for me on Chicago as well. Washington, the only person I'd consider starting is Jordan Reed if he's playing.
Interesting. The only person I have marked down here as possible start is Chris Thompson in a PPR as a flex. To me, he's the best player on that team. I just assumed Jordan Reed was going to be injured because it's week any number of the year, and he's always injured. Who's your pick in this game?
Chicago.
Yeah, Chicago for me as well. It's going to wrap up our game previews. Want to talk some trade targets?
Yeah, sure. We can definitely do that. Somebody I like is, we kind of talked about this already, Tampa Bay wide receiver Mike Evans. Godwin's been the better of the receivers by far this year so far, and Evans has got less than 100 yards. I think that's going to change at some point. Evans has just got way too much talent to continue to be ignored there. And the Evans owner is possibly going to be down on him, so that might be somebody to look at getting for a little bit cheaper than you would have before.
I'm definitely on board with this. He hasn't been right this year, so I'm hoping it's something that he's getting over. And I have him on several teams because I like him. He's great in standard. Who's a wide receiver that you would trade straight up to the Mike Evans owner to say, hey, your guy's not doing good. My guy's doing better. Why don't you take my guy, and I'll take your beat-up guy, because I got so many good wide receivers I can just stash them on my bench.
And we're still thinking standard here?
We are still thinking standard because that's where Mike Evans' value is at its highest.
Okay. Teammate Chris Godwin.
You think somebody's going to take that trade?
Somebody might. I'm taking, Brandon Cooks.
Cooks hasn't been fantastic either, though.
He hasn't been great, but he's got at least a touchdown. Both Minnesota wide receivers. And I would even throw, Sammy Watkins at him. Antonio Brown, if somebody takes it. Is that enough for names for you?
Yeah, I'm good with the Mike Evans side of all those trades, so why don't I give you a tougher one? What about Juju Smith-Schuster?
Yeah, I looked at Juju. I think I'm going to hold Juju, but that was really close.
I'll go Mike Evans, standard, Juju, and PPR. Anything else to add in general for this week preview? You got some news for us? Breaking?
No. Do you want to do a quiz or no?
Oh, yeah. We got time for a quiz.
Okay,
what do you got for me this week?
It's going to be a little harder for you.
Well, I have Google, so I'm okay.
The season is only 2 weeks old. You get 8 guesses. Can you name the top 5 rushing leaders so far?
Probably not.
No, it's tough.
The top 5 rushing leaders so far.
They are all running backs.
Dalvin Cook.
Correct.
Oh, I don't know if Eckler's been catching a lot of balls, so he's not there. Ooh, I'm going to say Marlon Mack just because that big first week one.
Marlon Mack is correct. He's number 3.
Okay, where was Cook? 1?
Cook is 1, yeah.
Okay. Trying to go through the teams here real quick. Saquon Barkley.
Correct, number 2. 3 for 3.
Yeah, but I'm missing 4 and 5, right?
You are.
Derrick Henry?
Incorrect.
Thought he had a couple good games. Oh, Josh Jacobs.
Correct. Number 4. You got 3 guesses to get last guy here.
Okay.
But I will mention he is definitely the hardest one to guess.
He's the hardest one to get. I'm going to need several guesses.
But that might be a bit of a hint to tell you that it's going to be hard to get.
It is a little bit of a hint because now I'm thinking outside of the regular guy. So I'm not going to say Le'Veon Bell because you said of that hint. So that makes it a little bit easier. I don't know if he's got rushing yards or passing yards. That's a tough thing. If you said total yards from scrimmage, it's been a different question.
No, Le'Veon has 0 passing yards so far.
I mean reception yards. You know what I meant. Okay. Why do I want to say him, but I don't think it's him? It's definitely not Zeke. It's another hint right there because Zeke had a pretty good game, but he didn't have much in his first week. So somebody who's been solid week 1 and week 2. I'm going to say Matt Breida.
Incorrect.
Okay.
2 more guesses.
Okay. It's not the damn big guy. It's not Kamara. You said it's not an obvious one, so Christian McCaffrey's got to be off the table. Atlanta's been terrible. Michelle hasn't been good enough. Connor hasn't been good enough. Bengals suck. Is Nick Chubb been that good? Probably not good enough to make the list. And it would be too obvious if it was him. I'm just going to check out my running back rankings here. Not cheating at all. Just to get some names because I missed DeAndre Hopkins last time we did this quiz. So I feel like Chris Carson's too obvious if you're saying it's going to be. They're all running backs. That was a good hint because it's not Lamar Jackson then.
Yeah, I thought you might guess him, so I thought I'd give you that one.
Chris Carson.
Incorrect.
Oh, my God.
One more guess.
This is so difficult.
I know. I saw the list. I was like, wow, this is going to be a hard quiz, but I think it'll be fun. So you got 4 of them pretty quickly. So.
Oh, it's between 2 now. I should have not guessed Carson. He was too obvious.
Oh, I don't know.
I don't know why I'm going to say this. I don't know how many rushing yards he had in week 1. Carlos Hyde.
That's correct.
Oh, my God.
With 173 yards, Carlos Hyde is number 5.
Oh, wow.
Well, I would not have guessed Carlos Hyde.
It was between him and Shady McCoy because I know McCoy. But McCoy had a down game last week. And for those of you watching at home, I'm looking at my rankings here. There's no Googling here. The not obvious hint was a good one because I probably would have guessed Christian McCaffrey or Ezekiel Elliott or someone of that range. That's 3 for 3 on the quizzes. Although this one went down to the wire with 2 strikes.
Well done. Well done. I like I said, I would not have guessed Hyde for that quiz. Yeah, like 173 yards after 2 weeks isn't that good either.
No, it's not. But there was nobody else on that list that made sense with the hints that you gave. Anything else?
Thanks for watching. Thanks for listening. And hopefully both.
That's it.